May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Today is our last Sunday of humming a sermon, of looking for God's words in our hymns as well as in our scriptures. And as promised, today's hymn is the gold medalist from our recent May Madness competition. Yes, good people, I announce to you the new reigning champion favorite hymn of First Presbyterian Church of Taos. Here I am, Lord. So friends, let's start things off right. Take out your hymnal, rise and body your spirit, and join me in verse 1 and the chorus of hymn number 69. Here I am, Lord. Go. Here I Am, Lord is actually pretty new. It is only 45 years old. The hymn was written in 1979 by Jesuit composer Dan Schutte while he was studying theology at the Jesuit School of Theology in Berkeley, California. Dan Schutte is still alive today, and he currently serves as the director of music at the University of San Francisco. Schutte was 31 years old when he wrote this hymn, still in training but already known among his colleagues for his musical talent. So when a friend and fellow Jesuit approached him on a Wednesday and asked if Schutte could compose a new anthem for an ordination service that would take place on Saturday, it was not a totally outlandish request. Reflecting back on the experience, Schutte writes that he was just getting over the flu and felt, quote, like someone had poured concrete into my head, unquote. But he told his friend he would try. As his friend was walking out the door, Schutte says he turned around and said, oh, by the way, the ordination is on Saturday, but the choir rehearsal is Friday night. So we'll actually need the song by about 5 p.m. on Friday. Oh boy, bait and switch. Time to get to work. Schutte remembers walking his score down to the choir room that Friday evening and stopping along the way to make last-minute changes. This word works better there, that phrase is a little clunky, before finally handing it over and seeing what his colleagues would make of it. And the hymn was a success. a great success. Really, every time that somebody in the U.S. or Great Britain does a survey of favorite hymns, Here I Am, Lord is guaranteed to be in the top 10. In 2004, it was the #1 favorite hymn in a poll by the Catholic magazine The Tablet. In 2005, it was #2 in the National Association of Pastoral Musicians' Songs That Make a Difference. In 2013, Here I Am, Lord was the #5 favorite hymn in the entire United Kingdom. And of course, in 2024, in Taos, New Mexico, Here I Am, Lord outlasted the competition and by one single vote became the new official favorite hymn of this church. So friends, remain seated and join me in verse 2 of the chorus of hymn number 69, Here I Am, Lord. To the anthem Dan Schutte composed for that ordination service in 1979. Almost, but not quite. Schutte made one small change to the hymn before it went out for publication. Small, but important. Dan Schutte was part of a group of composers known as the St. Louis Jesuits. These were 5 Jesuit priests and composers who, after the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, really changed the sound of Catholic worship music. They wrote easily singable hymns in the vernacular English language that incorporated folk tunes and familiar sounding melodies, often accompanied on guitars. These 5 men began their collaboration when they met at St. Louis University in the 70s and continued it throughout their careers. They would compose their hymns individually and then bring them to the others for feedback and new ideas. So after Here I Am, Lord, glowing reception at the ordination service, Schutte presented this new hymn to his friends. They gave it a listen, and they were genuinely impressed. They said, "This is a wonderful piece, but there's something wrong with it. There's something in there that's not quite true to the human experience of being called by God." Because you see, the original words to the chorus went like this: Here I am, Lord, here I stand, Lord, I have heard you calling in the night. And the St. Louis Jesuits took issue with that line, "Here I stand, Lord." It didn't resonate. It's too confident, they said. It sounds as if Superman or Wonder Woman were responding to God's call. But in real life, God doesn't call superheroes. God calls real people, like you and like me. People who experience fear and resistance. People caught up in uncertainty and self-doubt. People who are not perfect, who try and fail and try again. People who aren't always so sure they want to say yes to God's call. Dan took his friend's advice, and he changed the chorus to the words we sing today. Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? This version rings a little truer, doesn't it? This is how God's people have always responded to God's call. No one ever jumps up to say yes to God. Have you noticed that? We're afraid, we are shocked by the audacity and even the foolishness of God's call to people like us. Isaiah says, Lord, I'm not worthy. Sarah says, God, I am way too old. Jeremiah says, don't look at me, I'm far too young. Moses tries every excuse in the book. I stutter, I don't speak well, they won't believe me. And after he runs out of excuses, finally just says, please, Lord, choose someone else. Dan Streety reports that every once in a while, he gets an email from a concerned singer or music director. They write, Dan, I was looking at the words in the hymnal, and I think there's been a misprint. I think you meant to write, it is I, Lord. But our hymnal says, is it I, Lord? And well, that just can't be right. Streety says he takes these emails as proof that the hymn is working, because people are experiencing the discomfort of the question. Answering God's call is uncomfortable, isn't it? It requires us to show up and be willing to be changed. God's call on our life demands vulnerability. We have to let our weaknesses and inadequacies show. We must be willing to fail and try again. We have to allow our hearts to break over the same things that break the heart of God. We love to show up with conviction, strength, intelligence, to put our best foot forward and say, it is I, Lord. But what God needs is our vulnerability. Because only broken and vulnerable people can do what God does. Hear the cry of the suffering. Tend to the poor and the lame. Prepare a feast for those who are hungry. Look out upon a world in pain and weep for the love of it. God still calls, even today, for those people to send into the world. And friends, the right people for the job will be the ones who stand up with knees and voices shaking and respond, is it I? For here I am. Friends, rise in body or spirit. And join me in hymn number 69, verse 3. Here I am.